Can do Mangalacharan? Yes, I can. Yeah. Om Ajnanaतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले अयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं साधना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य एवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करु गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी हरि प्रिय वंश कल्पावनेभ्यो प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर हरे कृष्णा हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful Mangalacharan. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are on Canto 1, Chapter 13. Chapter 13 is Dhritarashtra quits home, and the text for today is 39 and text 40. Would anybody like to read text 39? Okay, I can read the text. I can read the text and the translation and purport. Yudhishthira vacha naham veda gatim pitror bhagavan kvagata vitah ambavahata purata kvagata cha tapasvini. Yudhishthir vacha. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, Na, do not. Aham, myself. Veda, know it. Gatim, departure. Pitroha, of the uncles. Bhagavan, O godly personality. Qua, where. Gatau, gone. Itaha, from this place. Amba, motherant. Va, either. Hattaputra, bereft of her sons. Artha, aggrieved. Qua, where. Gata, gone. Cha, also. Tapasvini, aesthetic. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my aesthetic aunt, who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Maharaj Yudhishthira, a good soul and devotee of the Lord, was always conscious of the great loss of his aunt and her sufferings as an ascetic. As ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of sufferings, and that makes him strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Queen Gandhari is a typical example of an ascetic because of her marvelous character in many trying situations. She was ideal woman as mother, wife, and ascetic. And in the history of the world, such character in a woman is rarely found. Hare Krishna. I'll move on to text 40 because we have two texts today. Karnadhara.
Can help you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Would you like to read the text
I can
40?
help you, Mataji, if it's okay.
Please do. Please do. Hare Krishna. Text 40.
Kamadhara Karnadhara iva pare Bhagavan Darshakaha Ata Babhase Bhagavan Narado Munishatamaha. Karnadhara, captain of the ship, Iva, like Apare in the extensive oceans, Bhagavan, representative of the Lord, Para Darshakaha, one who can give directions to the other side. Atha, thus Abba Bahase began to say, Bhagavan, the godly personality, Radha, the great sage Narad Muni, the great sage Narada, Muni Satamaha, the greatest among the devotee philosophers. Translation: You are like a captain of the ship. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Okay. Translation: You are like. Translation and purport by His Grace, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed the godly personality, Devarishi Narada, the greatest of philosopher devotees, began to speak. Purport. There are different types of philosophers, and the greatest of all of them are those who have seen the personality of Godhead and have surrendered themselves. Among all such pure devotees of the Lord, Devarishi Narad is the chief, and therefore he has been described herein as the greatest of all philosopher devotees. Unless one has become a sufficiently learned philosopher by hearing Vedanta philosophy from a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot be a learned philosopher devotee. One must be very faithful, learned, and renounced. Otherwise, one cannot be a pure devotee. Pure devotee of the Lord can give us direction towards the other end of Nishans. Devarishi Narad used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthir because the Pandavas were all pure devotees of the Lord, and the Devarishi was always ready to give them good counsel whenever needed.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for reading the text 40. So I received a message from Bir Chandra Prabhu that he's stuck in traffic and may be delayed, but we can continue. If he can join in, he will join in. We have our mentors with us. Path Prabhu, are you able to lead us in this discussion today? Hare Krishna. Maybe he's having internet challenge. Are you able to hear me? Hare Krishna, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mataji.
Okay, fine. Ananda, Vardhana, Prabhuji, are you able to lead us in the discussion today? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think Prabhuji is delayed. Are you able to lead us in the discussion today?
I think what we can do, we can read, instead of me leading it, we can read the purport by Srila Prabhupada, and everyone can contribute to say what they think of the paragraph, one paragraph or two paragraphs, and then everyone can contribute as well what they think it is like. So we can read one paragraph each, and then people can reflect on it.
I think that's a brilliant idea, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I think the paragraphs are not so many, so we can just read a line and reflect on it.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So let's read a line. So we are doing 139 first, yeah?
yes, Prabhuji.
So 139, purport by Srila Prabhupada. We start with that. Maharaj Yudhishthira, as a good soul and a devotee of the Lord, was always conscious of the great loss of his aunt and her suffering as an ascetic. An ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of suffering and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Queen Gandhari is a typical example of an ascetic because of her marvelous character in many situations. She was an ideal woman as mother, wife, and ascetic. And in the history of the world, such character in a woman is rarely found. So just reflecting to this one, we know a story of Gandhari. Actually, she was so much dedicated to Dhritarashtra that even that, you know, the way she was dedicated, she was like she was part of Dhritarashtra in a way. Dhritarashtra was blind. Even though he was blind, you know, the Gandhari said, if my husband is blind, I will also, I don't know whether you remember, she did put a cloth, so I don't know whether it was a cloth on her eyes to even be the same as Dhritarashtra. He says, if your husband can't see, I will also be the same. So I will just start with that. And maybe people can reflect on different things about what initially we talk about ascetic, and then there is conscience of the great loss of his aunt. So here Maharaj Yudhishthira is thinking about Gandhari, because all the soldiers, including Duryodhan, from the Kauravas side, were all killed. Yeah, and this is how Maharaja Yudhishthira, being a dharma, you know, is it dharma Raj? Yeah, he was a dharma Raj. This is how he was feeling, and and here it says he was a good soul, and a devotee of a Lord, and he was an ascetic, and an ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of suffering, and that makes more strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. And that's how Yudhishthira was. He was so strong, and so it was never disturbed, and that's how a devotee of a Lord should be. Yeah. So I will let others to contribute on this one. I've just started the discussion, so people can contribute on their realization.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Anybody would like to reflect? maybe I can reflect a little and then somebody else can join in. So yes, over here, as you said, Prabhuji, Maharaj Yudhishthir, because of him being a devotee of the Lord, he never thought about himself, but he was thinking of other people's suffering. I mean, Gandhari was his aunt, and she lost 100 children, and he was always cognizant of the fact that she has lost those children. I mean, even if a mother loses one son, it is so difficult for a mother. Or even if the son goes away abroad or somewhere else, it's very difficult for a mother, the separation. And here she has lost 100 sons, and she knows that they are not going to come back. And so he was really feeling the pain of Queen Gandhari. And in a way, he was even feeling responsible for it. So a good devotee would not see his own suffering. I just heard, since it's Ram Navami that is coming up, that when Lord Rama was banished from the kingdom, he could have said, "Oh, why I have to go for 14 years out from the kingdom and from all this luxury and everything for no fault of mine. I have not done anything wrong. It is my father, and my mother asked my father the boon, and I have to suffer because of their own problems." So he never said that. He just accepted it and said, "Oh, that's very nice that you are giving me this seva to do." So a devotee would never blame anybody else for what they got. They would always think that it is a service that they are doing for the Lord. And even in any circumstances, good or bad, whatever they get in their in front of them, they would accept it. So that is how I see Maharaj Yudhishthir. So I would like anybody else to reflect if there is anything they would like to say. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just thinking about this one. Um, um, just when we were doing Bhagavad Gita, and one of the text from Bhagavad Gita which comes into my mind is Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kanksati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So when I was thinking on this one, that Yudhishthira actually fitted from that verse. So Brahma Bhuta vision, a Pandita, actually when one becomes a learned scholar, he becomes Brahman realized. That is the meaning of Brahmana. So Brahmana is one who has realized the Brahman. So sorry of the background noise. Vishaka is doing some cooking work. So before so Brahma Bhuta. So when we talk about Brahma Bhuta, is that he never laments. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman, or be disposed towards every living entity, or he attains the pure devotional service unto me. Mant bhakte labhate param. Na sochati na kanksati, and sama sarveshu bhuteshu. He sees everyone equal. Yeah, sama sarveshu bhuteshu. So these are the qualities displayed by the devotee. And Yudhishthira was a pure devotee of the Lord. From what we are reading here, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. So maybe I can leave for others to reflect on this one again.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was trying to join in with another device, but I think that is also giving me problems. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Prabhuji. So Yudhishthir is a great devotee. Now we go on to Queen Gandhari, who in her life had a lot of trying situations. I mean, she didn't choose to get married to Dhritarashtra. Imagine you're so beautiful, you come from Gandhar Desh, and you're the prettiest woman in the universe, and then you get married to this guy who's so arrogant, and who, not only that, he was a king, okay, fine, but he was so arrogant and he was also blind. So I'm sure she went through a lot of trials and tribulations because of his arrogance as well. Like she must be feeling like how we have this tongue with all these 32 teeth. I mean, the tongue behaves in such a way, if the tongue misbehaves, it'll get bitten by the teeth. So she must be in so much control of and aware of the situation she's in, always trying to please Dhritarashtra, always trying not to make any mistakes. I mean, that was even apparent when she found out that Kunti was pregnant before her. And maybe it didn't make so much of a difference to her, but maybe she reacted so violently by beating her abdomen and breaking her womb into 100 pieces, because she must have thought that Dhritarashtra would not like it. Dhritarashtra would like a son first before Queen Kunti, so that he can be the heir to the throne. So she must be living in such trying conditions in spite of being the queen. However, she never, I mean, we have never read that she complained. So she did her job as a wife, as a mother, and also as an aesthetic. After the sons died, she played a role of giving up all her desires. So and therefore she's considered. I mean, Prabhuji mentioned yesterday that there are 7 women, 7 women actually, Vidura Prabhu, that are that are considered in Vedas as the ideal women, like Aditi, Ansuya, Kunti, Gandhari is one of them as well. So she definitely deserves that because of the character, marvelous character she displays, as mentioned on this purport. Hare Krishna, any additions? Okay, if there are no additions, then we can move on to the text 40. Prabhuji, kindly lead us on text 40. Hare Krishna, am I being heard? Prashant Tatmadas, can you hear
Hare
me?
Krishna, sorry, because I'm working.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a phone. I can hear you. I can hear you definitely.
Okay. Maybe I
So we are going on to the next
text.
Okay, so we are going into text number 40, which is you are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed the great godly personality, Devarshi Narada, the greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak. So this is Narada speaking, yeah? Purport. So purport, there are different types of philosophers, and the greatest of all of them are those who have seen the personality of Godhead and have surrendered service of the Lord. Among all such pure devotees of the Lord, Devarshi Narad is the chief, and therefore he has been described herein as the greatest of all philosopher devotees. So let's try to deliberate something on here. Anyone with any sort of contribution on Lord Devarshi Narada. So can people contribute as well here, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maybe I can start. Would anybody like to contribute? Okay, so the background of this is Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking Devarshi Narad, who has just entered when Yudhishthir Maharaj has found out that both his uncles and his aunt are missing from the palace, and then he was having these horrible thoughts that maybe they've gone to the Ganges and drowned themselves because it was unbearable for them, the situation they were in. And so he was asking Devarshi Narad that you know everything. And here Narad Muni is referred to as a captain of the ship in the great ocean. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada refers to Narad as the transcendental spaceman, because he can go to any planets anytime he desires. But here he's the captain of the ship in a great ocean, and he's begging to Narada Muni to tell him what has happened to his uncles and aunt. But here, before that, Narad Muni has been glorified and being referred to as the who has seen the personality of Godhead. So he's the greatest philosopher. Who is a great philosopher? So not the person who has a lot of knowledge about the Vedas. Yes, definitely he has the knowledge of the Vedas, but he has also seen the Lord. And he has also, these are the characters that we should keep in mind, that he has seen the Lord, surrendered to him, and performed loving service of the Lord. And these are the characteristics of a great devotee, or a pure devotee, not a great, but a pure devotee. And Narad Muni takes the cake. I mean, he is the chief of the greatest philosopher. So, and then yesterday we saw and we did glorify Narad Muni yesterday when we said that in one of the kirtans that was led by Jamuna Mai and Srila Prabhupada, he was present there. And he was responsible for Mrigari the hunter transformation, even Dhruv Maharaj, even Prahlad Maharaj. So I think all these transcendentalists do come to your lives when you need them, if you call for them, in some message or another. So they don't come with with her veena. Obviously, we are not such elevated soul, at least I am not. But by thoughts and processes, whenever you are in a difficult situation, they do come and help us. Any other contribution? Any other realization?
So Narad Muni he's been called Devarshi here. So Devarshi, because he's called Devarshi, even the Devas, all the demigods, actually they also respect him. That's why he's called Devarshi Narada. Yeah. So that's the reason he's called Devarshi Narada. And also, if people remember, Narad Muni actually Ved Vyas to say, you know why Srimad Bhagavatam was written? If you remember the story from the earliest thing, the Narad Muni told Ved Vyas that you are missing something. You have commented on everything else, but you are actually missing something. And what he was missing, he was missing. He didn't tell who actually the Supreme Lord is. Yeah, he didn't. He comment on the Supreme Lord. So that's why Narad was, he instructed Ved Vyas. And do people remember who is Narad? Narad was a son of. Can people say who was he was son of?
Brahma.
It's
Yeah, he was a son of Brahma. And if you remember the first verse, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, yeah? You remember the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord said, he did give that knowledge, transcendental knowledge, to Brahma. And actually, Narad was a son of Brahma. So Brahma passed it on to Narad, who is the actual Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So this is the Katha was spoken, by Ved Vyas wrote Srimad Bhagavatam based on what Narad Muni say, yeah, to him. So as we know, in his previous life, Naradji, in his previous cycle, he was the son of a maid. If you remember, if you recall the story of Narad earlier, and his mother who used to work for a livelihood in others' houses, and she used to work very much hard. But he was without father, and mother raised him, and he was actually, Narad was feeding the sadhu. Sadhu used to visit his house, and he was always serving the sadhus. Yeah, and he used to follow them all the time. So he was so much realized. Actually, he lost his mother at very young age. Yeah, if you recall, I think that this story must have been said some time ago. And he because he was so much enlightened, the death of a mother actually took him somewhere else. That's why he's Narad Muni. Yeah. And in the new birth, he became Narad Muni because he served the sadhus. So staying with the sadhus actually gave him the opportunity to listen the stories of the God. Yeah. So the whole day sadhus used to go in listening to the pastimes of the God. So it was work of those sages to worship the Lord and meditate and discuss Lord's leelas. So he used to listen the leelas of the God while staying with those sadhus, and he was doing bhajan. So he told Vyas that his mind was completely absorbed in the God by the grace of those sages. So devotion was awakened in him from the company of the sages themselves, and the longing to see the Lord, the God, was awakened in him. So this is brief story of Narad Muni, just to recall on what I recall from the previous verses we covered. Anyone else, or we start reading more?
Any other contribution? Prabhuji, what was this story about Narada? What did he do wrong so that he had to be born like this?
What did he do wrong? I can't recall it. I remember, yeah, there is some story about him where what he did. I think it wasn't a story about born like this. It was some sort of curse that he will be traveling from one place to another. So Narad Muni is never in one place. So
Yeah.
Narad Muni is everywhere. So he received that curse that he will be traveling everywhere. And we hear him, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan all the time, because he's in every place. He's different places. So Narad used to travel to different lokas as well. Yeah.
And
But maybe somebody here can enlighten us. Yeah.
okay, so
Hare Krishna.
yes, yes,
I think there is something.
Go on,
Can you
Prabhupada
hear me?
Mataji. Yes.
I think in the previous birth he was a singer, and he sang songs before the gods or something like that. I think I remember reading something like that. Hello?
yes, we can hear you. Maybe we'll confirm the
Yes.
story. We'll confirm the story, and then we'll get back to you tomorrow. We are missing Indulekha Mataji today because she tells us all these wonderful stories. Okay, and let's move on. Unless one has become sufficiently learned philosopher by hearing the Vedanta philosophy from a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot be a learned philosopher devotee. So here is another quality of a philosopher devotee, that we should learn the Vedanta. Okay, fine, learn it, but how? From a bona fide spiritual master. So our parampara has been again alluded to here, that learning, we see a lot of people learning the Vedas on their own, but we should learn it and discuss it with our bona fide spiritual master. Any other contribution? And then we go on to the qualities of a pure devotee. They should be very faithful, they should be learned and renounced. So a pure devotee, if you want to see who, sometimes you see all these devotees and then you can see that, yes, he's very faithful, he's learned, and not only learned, but he's also renounced. And this is characteristics of a pure devotee of the Lord. Any other contribution for a pure devotee? And then,
Yes, they are not they are not attracted by material things. They are very, very focused on their religion. Their whole life is they live their life in full, in a way as to getting back to Godhead rather than being on this material planet.
thank you very much, Mataji, for that addition. And also, I remember that they also consider themselves as dasanudas anudas. I mean, that's the mental makeup. And they consider them, whichever position they are, they might be very highly elevated, they might be very rich, but they always consider themselves as a servant of the Lord. So that's another characteristics of pure devotee.
Yeah, I don't know whether you remember in Bhagavad Gita 16.1 gives all the qualities of the godly person. So I'm just looking at it now. It's 16.1 to 3. It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, studies of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, freedom from envy, and freedom from freedom from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to the godly man endowed with divine nature. Just think of the qualities, and just think of, there are so many qualities that godly man, or the qualities we should be having. And it's a long list here. Even if we achieve 2 or 3 of them, that'll be something. Because you have to be, like, I'm just trying to say, freedom from envy. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard, actually, in this life, because we are all envious of each other as well sometimes, jealous of each other. So the quality, to develop each quality which is mentioned here, it takes quite a long, time to develop. And through sadhana, through the chanting of the holy name, we can actually develop this quality by remembering the Lord, and also by actually listening to this katha of Yudhishthira Maharaj and so on. So that's why it is recommended that we should listen. We should always listen. The Shravanam, what we should listen is, we should listen to the pastimes of the Lord and also his devotees. All Srimad Bhagavatam is about his devotees. And we should always listen. And when we listen, these qualities will gradually develop into us. We should develop these qualities gradually. And we are all at the beginning stage. I'm sure I am at the beginning stage, but we are just trying to develop these qualities. So that is something I thought about, just to give you on these qualities of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can I add a few more? Some of them,
Yes, please.
it might be echoing what you said, Prabhuji. In chapter 2, Sri Krishna says, self-realized soul or pure devotee, he satisfied the soul whose nature is bliss, is undisturbed by the threefold miseries, he's not elevated with happiness, he's free from attachment, anger, and fear, he's unaffected by any good, evil, or praise, he's able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, he's firmly fixed on pure consciousness. And again, excuse me, in chapter 5, he repeats some of this again about a pure devotee or a self-realized person. He said he doesn't rejoice in something pleasant. He doesn't lament with something unpleasant. Some of these are echoing from before. He has a fixed intelligence. He's unbewildered. He knows the science of God. He's situated in transcendence, and he's unattracted to material pleasure. He enjoys pleasure within, realizing the Paramatma. So these are some notes that I had made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. That was nice contribution on the third 2. Yeah, that was chapter 2.
Chapter 2 and then chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Yeah. Anyone else with any sort of?
Okay, then we can continue. A pure devotee of the Lord can give us directions towards the other end of nescience. So, a pure devotee who has all these qualities is the person who can give us the direction to our problems, and therefore Narad Muni has been, Devarshi Narad Muni has been called the captain of the ship in this great ocean. Devarshi Narad used to visit the palace of Maharaja Yudhishthir because the Pandavas were all pure devotees of the Lord, and the Devarshi was always ready to give them good counsel whenever needed. So now here in this setup right now, Yudhishthir Maharaj needs an association of a pure devotee like Narad Muni, because he was getting agitated and getting anxious where his uncles and aunt have gone. And because they are such pure devotees, all the Pandavas, Devarshi Narada came to their aid, and maybe in the next verses he will counsel them and put Maharaj Yudhishthir's mind, agitated mind, at rest. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go on, Prasanna Madas.
Maybe I can say something small in this sentence. I also kind of notice. I'm not very intelligent, but I kind of notice that it is portrayed how kind, pure devotees are, and how ready they are always to go out and give counsel and give help to wherever needed, if it is about issues concerning Christiousness. You can see this kindness in Narad Muni and also in many of our acharyas, up to our Jagat Guru himself, Srila Prabhupada. So I think I see that portrayed somehow in this sentence. Hariba.
Thank you. And also I'm thinking of one of the sloks on Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. You know, that we need to render the service unto the spiritual master. And I don't know, well, let me recall that verse. It is, I think, it's from chapter 4, which is transcendental knowledge. In whatever way people surrender unto me, no, that is Krishna's. In whatever way people surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. Everyone follows my path, knowingly and unknowingly. And they followed his path, very nicely. But the one which I was trying to do, it was different, is third vidhi prani pasena pariprasnena sevaya. This is from also chapter 4. He says, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart the knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this is very much relevant. If you think about Narad Muni, it's very much relevant when we're talking about Narad Muni here. So I'll let others contribute as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kindly unmute and contribute if you have any realizations.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Maybe just a question. Prabhuji said about knowingly and unknowingly. So knowingly, you do that service knowing that you know you're rendering that service with a pure heart, but unknowingly, what's an example of when someone's doing it unknowingly?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sometimes we do some things which, with our conscious mind, we do service to say, like going to the temple, cleaning the temple, doing the recycling work, and so on. But sometimes you don't know you have created some punya. You have served someone who has come at your door, but you don't know who the person is. It could be a sadhu. You have invited him and you have fed the person, but then the person has gone. Yeah. But you don't realize that you have actually served someone, unknowingly. He is a devotee of the Lord. So that is how much I know that when sometimes you serve someone, so you should be serving. I mean, the serving attitude, because we say earlier on that we are dasa dasa no dasa. Yeah? So sometimes we can, when we take that position of dasa dasa no dasa, and also the other thing is that we respect everyone. We don't take the honor. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amani namanadena kirtaniya sadahari. So this is the thing. Sometimes unknowingly we may have done something. So this is what my understanding is. I hope that answers your question, Renuka Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Because our understanding is that anybody that comes to your house, it could be God potentially it could be, somebody, the Lord himself or somebody. So you have to be nice to everybody that comes to your house. So yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah, Atiti Devo Bhava. Yeah, we say Atiti Devo Bhava. Treat your guests, like they are like a dev.
Yes. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I think that was a good discussion. And even I would even consider asking questions as one of the unknowing service. Like Mataji just asked this question, and because of that question, a lot of thoughts are generated. And that is a service that you have done. You did it just for your own sake. You just wanted to ask a question. But because of you asking a question, it has helped me. It has helped most of us over here. So I think sometimes you just do things unknowingly and it helps other people. This is just one of the examples I'm thinking of. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So we're only 3 minutes into time. So anyone with any last minute thoughts?
Okay, thank you very much for this session. Is Path Prabhu there? Hare Krishna. I think the weather in Eldoret is very bad. It's a rainy season. Oh, Prabhuji is there. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, we did the class on our own.
Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm hearing everything. It's a very nice class. Special thanks to all the Ananda Vardhan Prabhu, Pramila Mataji, and Renuka Mataji, and also you also, Kirtika Mataji. It is very nice and very everybody giving his contribution and a realization about talking about the quality of the devotees. It's very nice and talking about the Narad Muni and Prabhuji telling about the Devarshi Narada. There's so many designation of Narada Muni, and one designation is that one So we can know that one. And when he reached the assembly of Yudhishthira Maharaj, when he was worried, the loss of this uncle and aunt, like Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, then he obviously Devarshi Narada is Tattvadarshi, and he have a great knowledge, and like that, he knows everything what is happened in future also. So that that is right person. So that Yudhishthira Maharaj asking his question, you are the captain of the boat and you are giving us direction and everything. That is very nicely, because when we are lost our memories, we don't know what's supposed to do, so that we can ask our guru. Like the same thing discussed, Vyasdev is also asking to Narad Muni. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj is also asking Narad Muni, and many things, many Narad Muni giving his direction to everyone. So thank you very much, everyone, giving his a wonderful contribution. That is the most efficient way to realizing some Bhagavatam and something about discussion. Thank you very much to everyone. We can conclude this session. Is it okay to conclude the session?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you very much. So,
Prabhuji, we just had one question about Narad Muni. What was he was why is he traveling everywhere? There was a story that somebody cursed him that you won't be able to see.
yeah, I heard this question, but I don't have an answer.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I also forgot, or I have no remember. We can ask some other. Sorry for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much, everyone, all the devotee who's joining here, and special thanks to Ananda Prabhuji. So I request everyone, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna for glorification of His grace, Ananda Vardhana Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Pancha Karpatarvyasya
Sarvadevasya Kapasindevasya Sritam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His grace Ananda Vardhan Prabhuji ki jai.
Guru ki jai.
Jai.
Ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank